In today's video, we're going to be talking about one of the most desirable suburbs in all of Atlanta, Johns Creek. We're going to talk about cost of living, quality of schools, things to do, and so much more. Coming up right now. Hey everyone, welcome back to Living in Atlanta. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome. This channel is your guide to everything about living in and around the Atlanta area. My name is Mark, I'm a realtor here in Atlanta, and if you have any real estate needs, we would love to hear from you. You can call us, email us, book a Zoom call with us. All our information is in the description below, but we help people and families sell and buy homes in the Atlanta area all the time. We absolutely love it, so reach out to us today. All right, so this is gonna be another neighborhood tour video. Now, these videos are a great way to get to know an area if you're unfamiliar. I've done a lot of them in the past. If you haven't seen one, check out the neighborhood playlist. This is a great way to look at different areas you're considering and get a lot of information and see the sites, actually see footage and get real statistics and experiences of what it's like to live in those areas. And today we're going to be talking about Johns Creek, which is one of the most desirable suburbs in all of Atlanta. So what is Johns Creek, Georgia like? Well, it's a very desirable suburb. It's very affluent. The home prices here are higher than a lot of the neighborhoods we typically talk about. It's an area that most would consider extremely safe. In general, the schools are very high quality here. You've got a great proximity to the city and you have plenty to do in and around the area. So this is definitely an area that, as I'm showing homes around Atlanta, there are long lines for the hot new listing and for the open houses. People moving and buying homes around Atlanta want to be in areas with great schools that are safe and with plenty to do, and they want to be a nice distance from the city so that they can go and enjoy it. And Johns Creek fits the bill. So today we're going to talk about why it's so desirable. We're going to go in a little bit more detail about all the relevant information that you'll need to make the best decision for you and your family. But first, like always, let's quickly pull up a map so you know exactly where we're talking about today. All right, so as you can see, again, we have Atlanta pulled up on a map, and Johns Creek is just to the northeast of the Atlanta perimeter. We will zoom in here, and you have Alpharetta pretty much directly to the north of the city, and then just to the east of it, you have Johns Creek. So we're going to be taking some footage in Autry Mill Nature Preserve today. I'll explain in the video, not really an official downtown area, but you're right next to Alpharetta. So you can certainly enjoy all the amenities here. You can enjoy some of my favorite food amenities in Duluth. So lots of great areas nearby. Look at all the parks and green spaces. And of course, if you're commuting into the city, as you can see, you know, traffic aside, it's not a long distance. So your commute either for work or for a date night should be pretty easy. You got Lake Lanier up here. So very desirable location in terms of the geography around Atlanta. That's one of the reasons why it's more of expensive, more desirable neighborhood. So that is where we're talking about in this video. All right, so hopefully that helps explain one of the reasons why Johns Creek is very desirable, incredible proximity to the city, and also a great head start if you want to head up north to enjoy all that North Georgia has to offer. So who is Johns Creek for? What is the typical profile of someone, a person or a family who would be looking in this area? If I had to chalk it up, I would refer to it as affluent, safe, and lots of golf. There are at least 6 golf clubs centered in Johns Creek. So if that is a hobby or passion of yours, then you are in luck in this area. Now, that's not to say that you have to fit that category to be in this area, but the reality is it is more expensive, and we'll get into the cost of living in just a little bit. Let's talk first about things to do. This is one of the most important things that people ask me about. Will I get bored out of my mind? Will I be out in the country, or will it be, too city-like? Will it be too much going on? So the reality is there is plenty to do in Johns Creek, but very interestingly, there's not really a traditional downtown area, right? When we talk about Alpharetta, Marietta, Lawrenceville, a lot of your Atlanta suburbs at least have some type of quaint little downtown area where it gets a little bit more dense, and there is a cluster of restaurants and retail shops and any other type of amenity you might need. Well, Johns Creek really doesn't have that, although I've read that something like that is in the works. There is nothing currently like that in Johns Creek. What you do have is any amenity that you would need reasonably, any shopping, retail, grocery. There are plenty of businesses and places to shop in Johns Creek, but you're gonna see lots of strip centers. Now, these are nice strip centers, but it's not going to be like a typical downtown area. So I'm gonna include some footage from Johns Creek in this video. Again, got some great gimbal footage, got some great drone footage, especially of the green spaces, but I'm also gonna include some footage of the Avalon in downtown Alpharetta, because the reality is, as you saw from the map, Johns Creek is adjacent to Alpharetta, and if you live in Johns Creek, you will probably be enjoying the amenities that Alpharetta has to offer quite often. I mean, you're still talking about, in most areas, 15, 10-minute, maybe 20-minute drive, depending on where you are, how bad traffic is. But Alpharetta has a lot of the downtown, a lot of the nicer amenities that you will be able to live as someone living in Johns Creek. Plenty of things to do, plenty of great restaurants in Johns Creek, but keep in mind it does not have your typical quaint downtown walkable area. Of course, definitely an area where you'll need to own a car, which, as you know from watching this channel, is almost always the case around Atlanta. Now again, this is an easy trip into the city of Atlanta. If you're commuting there, if you want to go on a special date night, you're talking maybe 30 minutes, maybe 45, depending on where you are. So very accessible, but you're able to keep your distance from that city life, which a lot of people like. If you're heading down to the airport, probably going to be closer to an hour, 15 minutes. Again, traffic can definitely bump that up. So not terrible, but of course the airport is in South Atlanta. You're not going to be super close to that. Now, going back to things to do, like many neighborhoods around Atlanta, there are a lot of green spaces. If you like to be outdoors, if you like to walk on trails, if you like to enjoy parks and take your kids to playgrounds or dog parks, there is plenty of that for you in Johns Creek. You'll see footage from today's video from Autry Mill Nature Preserve and Newton Park. Plenty of baseball fields and soccer fields and recreation areas, tennis courts, dog parks, really anything that you would need to enjoy life as a family or even a single person. As an active person outside, Johns Creek has plenty of that. You'll see an amphitheater in some of this footage, so outdoor festivals and outdoor activities are very common. And there's also the Chattahoochee River Recreation Area very close by inside Johns Creek. So of course the Chattahoochee is absolutely massive, spanning really almost the entirety of the states, but in Johns Creek in particular, there is a great rec area where you can float areas of the hooch, enjoy the water, lots of different ways to enjoy that great river in this area. So if you like being near water, that is a fantastic option for you to enjoy your time. There is also the Atlanta Athletic Club in Johns Creek, which is extremely popular. And like I said, there are 6 different golf facilities in Johns Creek. So if golf is your passion, there is plenty in this area for you to take advantage of. Now, another cool fact about Johns Creek is that it's the only neighborhood around Atlanta to have its own full-time professional orchestra. So that is a wonderful event for you to go and enjoy if you live in this area or nearby. And like I said, there are tons of parks, there are tons of trails and green spaces where you can walk and hike and scooter and skateboard and bicycle and be in nature and outside and be very active. Atlanta is a city in a forest, and all of the surrounding suburbs are typically very green, but Johns Creek is definitely for nature lovers, as are many other neighborhoods around Atlanta. So let's talk about demographics, because obviously that's very important for a lot of people interested in the diversity of an area. Now, Johns Creek is about 47% white, 29% Asian, 10% black, and less than 7% Hispanic. Now, while it's true that many people in this area may lean towards the conservative side with their politics, I would reiterate that this is not a place where I think you need to be concerned about overt racism or intolerance. Now, again, we're close to Atlanta, so I think most people in Johns Creek are open-minded. It's definitely not an area where you're going to see a bunch of Confederate flags flying around, but those are the demographics, and I think overall it's a pretty inclusive area. Now let's talk about schools, because I know for families that is very important for them. They need to be an area where their kids can get a great education, and the schools in Johns Creek, the public schools, although it is Fulton County, there are a lot of parts of Fulton County where the public schools are actually very good, and Johns Creek is one of them. Looking at the grades for most of the assigned public schools, it's almost A's across the board with some B's sprinkled in, but pretty much anywhere you live around Johns Creek, you can be assured that your kids are going to get a great public education. And of course, like many other areas in Atlanta, you've got the option for private school that's really not usually quite as expensive as many people coming from more expensive cities are used to. And you also have the charter school option, which will depend on where you live specifically. And a lot of times there are wait lists for those charter schools, but honestly, this is an area where public schools are going to be very beneficial and a great fit for most kids. So let's get right into the cost of living in Johns Creek. Obviously, that's important for you to figure out if it's going to be within your budget and your lifestyle. The median home sales price in Johns Creek right now is about $625,000. Now, looking at the active listings in Johns Creek on the market right now, you can get into a decent sized, very outdated home in the high $300,000s and low $400,000 range. Now, as you move into the high fours, the fives, and the low $600,000 range, you're gonna have a decent sized home, maybe with some upgrades, but not fully upgraded throughout. So again, in most cases in this price range, it's gonna be a pretty basic home, certainly nothing too custom. And when you get up into the low mid $700,000 range and above, that is when you're gonna start to see larger, much more updated homes that you might be used to seeing at a lower price point in other areas. But if you need that large home, if you need it to be in a fantastic subdivision, which there are a lot of in Johns Creek, you need it to be very updated. At the bare minimum, you're going to be looking at $700,000 and above. In terms of property taxes, now of course this is going to depend mainly on the purchase price of the home and the size of the home, but typically what I see is high 3,000s, low middle 4,000s per year in property taxes. Now again, if you're going up in a 700,000 plus $1 million range, this is definitely going to get, $5,000–6,000 per year in property taxes. Still pretty competitive comparative to larger metros on each of the coasts. Now, if you're looking to rent, maybe you want to be in this area temporarily while you do your home search, you can rent in this area. You can rent an entire home. You're probably going to be in the low 2,000s at minimum. Again, that's going to be more of a basic starter home with no upgrades. You can certainly rent nicer homes that are more upgraded and larger, but that's going to bring you into the $3,000+ a month range for rent. Now, in terms of crime, honestly, this is one of the safest suburbs around Atlanta. I don't think it's going to be something you need to worry about very much. Obviously, it's an affluent area. Most of the subdivisions are gated with security, so crime is probably not something you're going to need to worry about at all living in Johns Creek. So overall, thinking of who is Johns Creek for, if you are maybe a little older in your life, you're established, you want to be in a really nice subdivision. So again, thinking about who is Johns Creek really for, I would say if you are a person or family who likes really beautiful, well-kept subdivisions with a lot of amenities, a lot of security, a lot of golf, a lot of things to do. If you maybe work or still want to be a certain distance from Atlanta, this is going to fit that bill. Of course, you have kids that are in public school. This might also fit the bill, but a little bit of an older area, a little bit more affluent, established area. So, that may be for you, that may not be for you. It's definitely a beautiful neighborhood that's got a lot going for it. Now, if you have a little bit more of a restricted budget, or you like to be in a little bit more of a happening area with younger people, more fun things to do in your immediate immediate area, then Johns Creek might not be the best place for you, but it could still work depending on what your needs are. So that is really everything that you need to know about Johns Creek. This is a great suburb of Atlanta. It has a lot going for it. It will certainly continue to grow and appreciate. So in terms of purchasing real estate and as an investment, this is a great place to do it. Hope you enjoyed some of the footage that I got walking around Johns Creek, taking some drone footage of some of the local parks and also some of the filming of the Avalon to give you a sense for that great amenity, which will be at your fingertips living in this area. And now we're gonna take you, like usual, to a full home tour of a home that is on the market right now, active listing in Johns Creek. We're gonna give you a full tour so you can get a sense for how far your dollar goes, what a listing looks like. And this is in the Country Club of the South. So this is one of the more famous subdivisions, one of the more desirable subdivisions that people look to get into in this area. So hopefully that's a great reference for you. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you on your home buying journey. Again, my name is Mark Brenner, Living in Atlanta team. Hopefully you've heard of us. But if you have any home buying or selling needs at all, you can book a Zoom call with us. You can email me, call me, whatever you want to do. Check out the description below. It has all that information. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support. Please like and subscribe. Let me know what videos you want to see. And until my next video, I'll see you next time.